Sector's Edge is quite a fast-paced game with a variety of different weapon types. Time to kill is pretty swift, and long-range weaponry like the railgun can be extra potent due to the generally open nature of the maps. However, there are several tools available to the player to help combat this, as well as improve your ability to defend and attack, one of which is your MIDI, aka your building and destruction tool. To start off, let's talk about the MIDI's build mode, which is Q by default. Using this mode, you can click and drag a line of blocks from start point to end point in order to swiftly connect yourself between structures. It's useful if you quickly need a ledge, or you want to change elevation and get to high ground. So long as you can reach the end point, it can often be easier than placing prefabs. Speaking of which, there's of course the prefab aspect of the MIDI. In the ship, you can define up to 9 structures using these 5x5x5 block pads. The first 3 structures are accessible through the hotkeys 4, 5 and 6 on your keyboard by default, with your 1, 2 and 3 keys being taken up by your primary weapon, secondary weapon and a slot for the special weapon type. All of these hotkeys are of course changeable through your settings. You can also access all of your structures at any time using the selection wheel. To use it, hold Z, drag your mouse towards your structure of choice, and then release Z. You can also then rotate your structures using right click, though they will automatically align to where you're facing if you don't manually do it yourself. So the question is, what prefabs should you be using, and why? We definitely feel like there's room for innovation here, but here's a few you might like to try. A 5x5 wall with a ledge. Useful for providing a slight height advantage, for blocking off passageways, and creating cover quickly. Some kind of flat prefab. I like to put a single block on it at the start and set the root of the prefab using the enter button on that block, so that I can run along and spam it down ahead of me across a ravine or between 2 buildings. Some kind of staircase prefab. I'd suggest setting the root to be one of the very first steps, leaving the top step too deep. This makes it easier to chain them together. Having less blocks in the prefab will lessen the cooldown, so keeping it fairly lean can help when wanting to place them fast. Basidium enjoys using something similar to this prefab. It's a little harder to take down, provides good height advantage, and also gives you a little hidey panic area to escape into or through in heated situations. These 2 styles of prefabs are often used in canister defense scenarios when running short-range loadouts. These can really confuse an enemy and give plenty of opportunity for short-range weapons to shine. Some kind of prefab that allows you to place roofs can also be very useful in open areas, such as the back of crashed freighter, or to block off the main hall whilst underneath an ice station, or even blocking off operator tunnels into the catacombs in Aegis Desert. To finish off this video, we'd be remiss if we didn't briefly mention a few other loadout options, first of which is the building mod. At the time of recording, it would cost 2 power, but gives you extended placement range, extra block health, and increases your capacity and starting blocks by 100. It can be absolutely invaluable to your team to have cover around the map ready to use, so even if you might want a different mod in your loadout long term, you should potentially consider taking the building mod for at least the first few deaths in a match, in order to build extra cover on your way to the action and in the common areas for your team. Secondly, if you haven't tried out Dig Plus before, you may also want to give it a go. It only costs 1 point, but enables a very large 3x3x3 dig area, which can be extremely helpful for getting around the map, both in sides of buildings and creating alternative pathways by tunneling through the map. A more expensive, but more potent breaching option is of course the Orberator. It sends out a set of 5 block-breaking charges, enabling for quick tunneling on the fly, for breaking down enemy defences from a distance, and getting the jump on opponents from unexpected angles. And that's it for our introduction to building and destruction. Bit of a longer video, but not only is it a complicated topic, but one that is absolutely core to the philosophy and design of the game. Let us know if we missed anything, or drop us a line if you've got an interesting prefab design you'd like to share. Best of luck to you all, folks.